So this time we're talking about The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know how to say that. Which is a psychological thriller, I think is what it's technically called, or it's what Courtney called it. And we read it for book club. But Courtney's not here who picked it to give the synopsis, so Steven gets to, because he is a guest. What's the synopsis of the book?
The book is about a psychotherapist, and he, for some reason, decides that he wants to go to a different asylum where there's a lot of patients. He goes in and he has a particular preference for trying to treat one of the patients who is unable to speak. And then the story kind of weaves back and forth between her life and his life, talking about, his ways of trying to treat her, why she won't speak. It's worth noting that she killed her husband. That's the reason why she's in the asylum in the first place. And the book kind of tells that story. The mystery kind of slowly unravels what actually happened, and at the very end, no spoilers, but there's a twist at the end, and we kind of figure out what the backstory is.
That was a really good synopsis. What would you rate it?
I give it a 9.
Well, A through F.
Oh, right. An A minus. What I really liked about it was the short chapters. Like, I have trouble focusing when I read, like a lot of trouble. Like, I can't read very well. And reading through this, it was very helpful. The chapters are a page or two max. And it's just kind of a page turner. It's quick to get through. There's no extra stuff throughout it. And the twist at the end, the mystery, I really liked it. And I just felt like it was very, very well written.
I agree. I also rated it an A minus, primarily because I liked the point of where you didn't know what was real throughout the whole book. It was like it kind of kept you guessing as to who was telling the truth, who was being deceitful, what was the real story that happened, and who could you trust throughout the book. And I really didn't know as the chapters went on, my mind just started spinning. It was like, I honestly don't know who to believe in any of these situations. And I liked that the book wrapped everything up in the end, and it all kind of came to light. It's kind of like that aha moment of like, whoa, I see how all the dots connect now. So I rated an A minus. And like Steve said, I love short chapters, and I thought it was very good writing, easy to read. How about you, Kelly?
I give it an A minus too.
They're so similar.
I also liked, it was kind of frustrating, but that was like the point of the book, is to make you think and guess. But you would sympathize with one person for a chapter, and then the very next chapter or viewpoint, you hear a different story, but the same story, and you'd be like, well, she's clearly lying. Or, you would change who you sympathize with almost every single chapter or viewpoint. The short chapters are nice. The only thing I didn't like about it is the illusion of time in it. But I guess we'll save that for the spoiler part. So I thought it was great, though. I would recommend it to people. I think almost anybody would enjoy this too.
I agree. Liz, what was your rating?
My rating was like B plus A minus. Really liked it. I didn't guess the spoiler or like the twist at the end. I think Steve did though. And no, he didn't. Okay. Anyway, so I liked it. It's not the type of book I normally read. The only reason I rated it a little bit lower was because I didn't like any of the characters. And I like to like the characters. And I didn't like any of them. They were all jerks.
That's fair.
Anne?
I also rated it an A minus. I don't know. We've read a lot of these like mystery books, and I thought this one was like really good. And I did not figure out what happened until like a paragraph before it happened. I had sort of a clue. Up until it happened, I had no idea. So I kind of liked that. And I also liked how some of the chapters were a diary. instead of just like them talking or whatever. So it kind of, you got to see what she actually like thought, and then you could kind of, I don't know, you couldn't really put it together, but I thought it was really well written, and I definitely did not see them coming. I definitely put like his another one of his books on my list to order, so this is definitely really good.
What's the name of that one? Courtney just ordered it too.
Yeah, the great. I'll look it up.
Is it the same genre? Do you know?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, for being I think this is his first book. Actually, don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. It's written really well.
The Maidens is the next one.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a similar.
So I think if you like short reads, kind of murder mystery, psychological thrillers, and I would say this is young adult. I wouldn't say it's like an adult book, but would probably like this book. Let's do spoilers. Okay, I just want to call out the fact that well, not to give myself too much props, but the coincidence of like he was stalking someone when Alicia was being stalked as well. I thought that was such a weird coincidence. And that was when I started to think, okay, the doctor or the psychotherapist is up to no good. Like if you can stalk someone like that and have thoughts of killing them, then obviously there is something a little off about them or not typical.
So that's the part that frustrated me because, you know, when he was, he went to like, he followed the guy to the townhouse and he was like watching the wife in the kitchen. I was like, it's so weird that that's exactly what she said. It's almost like he's the person she was talking about. But I was like, it can't be because they made it sound like he was watching this woman in the townhouse at the same time Alicia or whatever her name is was in the psych ward. So I was like, oh, it obviously can't be him. And I thought it was just like a parallel, you know, like just a comment on this could happen to anybody. Like, look at this doctor, he's helping somebody who claims this happened. And he's like, she's lying, she's crazy. And then he's doing the same thing. And then I was frustrated because it turned out literally to be him. And I was like, I was annoyed about the time they made it seem like the Kathy and him thing and all that was going on while he was treating her. But that's not unless I missed something.
You're right. And I felt like kind of cheated because normally when you read a book, you want to like be at least able, like possible to figure out who the killer might be or whatever. And in this case, it's impossible. There's no way of knowing because there's no designation that it's a flashback at any point. Like anybody reading it, it would have been impossible for them to know the twist. So that kind of is cheating a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I felt a little like led astray, or I don't know, unless I missed something. Like I like when we read Anxious People, we all just assumed it was a male, and then Madeline brought up, hey, what if it's a girl? And we were all like, no, it can't be. But it never actually said it was a boy or a girl, you know, unless I missed something like that, which I don't know that I did, but I don't know that I went back and checked. I just remember I was like annoyed because I was like, you made it really sound like these two things were happening at the same time and they weren't. So like, I was just like, oh, that's so creepy that he's like treating her for seeing somebody watching her. And he's like literally watching this other girl.
I think it was like Anxious People though, where they never explicitly said, but you just like assume that it's not a flashback, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
it just the whole time of like deciphering what's a maybe the whole thing was a flashback, because at the end he's like, we lived here for a year before this guy showed up at my house. So I don't know, the time thing is just the only thing that I was annoyed by, but I definitely like didn't catch it. I was just like, oh, it's kind of creepy that they did the same thing.
I thought it was kind of sad about Kathy. Like,
yeah.
when you kind of you really dislike her because, you know, she's cheating on her husband, having this affair and whatnot. And then he gets her lover killed, moves her out to the suburbs, and just acts like nothing happened. But he knows why she's sad and she's going through this depression. But he's just kind of like in the corner chuckling to himself. It seemed very malicious to me, very deeply wrong.
The thing that caught me about that I was like, ooh, you know, when he like came home and she was like doing nothing, you know, not working anymore and all that stuff, and he's like, oh, my patient, she died or whatever. Kathy, I would assume, clearly knows that that patient is the husband, like, you know, and she didn't even skip a beat or flinch. She was like, oh, okay, I don't know who you're talking about. I was like, whoa, that's really cold. Like, she didn't even like register that like we're all intertwined. I don't know. I was like, ooh,
I thought it was weird when he like initially read those emails that they were like sleeping together or whatever, and then he's like, well, I'll just kill the guy and then she'll just have to get over it. And I was just like, oh yeah, just kill the guy. Like he like said it like nonchalantly.
I don't understand how you can like not say something.
No.
Like the self-control, right? To plan to kill him, like you said, Anne, instead of like saying something to her right then is crazy.
Well, then he just like gets in trouble for smoking weed, which is funny to me. He's like sleeping with some guy in the woods, and
like, how do you not come back at her and be like, oh, I smoke weed? Well, at least I don't, you know, like, how do you bite your tongue on that?
I really thought the scene where they had sex in the park was fake. Like, it seems so weird to me that if you're gonna have an affair
to like have sex in the park.
Right, but if you're gonna have an affair, like go to a hotel room. Like there are options. You don't have to you don't have to do that in a park, people.
And he like follows them and then like listens.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what?
Weird. I really thought that was gonna come out as fake. What did you think of Alicia actually killing her husband and that part of the story being true?
I don't know. I kind of felt like at some points I thought she killed him, and then at some points I didn't think she killed him. So it wasn't like entirely shocking to me that she killed him. But
right. To be fair,
I always thought, I didn't think that she killed him. Like I never thought that she did. But then because of like all the stuff about him being like tied up, and she seems like she like legitimately like loves him, right? And then you get to like the last chapter and I'm like, oh, it makes sense then. Okay. Like I get it.
Oh yeah, he didn't kill him. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he was like, I either kill you or I kill her. And the guy's like, I don't want to die. And then right there, I'm like, kill that guy. Like I'd be like, untie me because I'll do it. You know, like rude. Like you are the one convincing, you're gaslighting her. And then you have and you're cheating on her. And then like telling her she's crazy. So yeah, you're gonna have a crazy wife. Like you made her that way. So I'm like, it's not right, and like probably shouldn't take that route, but I get it.
I thought it was weird when she stabbed that chick with the paintbrush in the eye.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand. I was just like, really? I didn't think. I don't know. I didn't get why she did it, to be honest.
That was one scene to where I thought it shifted my mindset of, okay, maybe she did kill him. I mean, you have to be okay with violence to stab someone in the eye with a paintbrush.
Well, and the whole thing, she had 2 suicide attempts. She stabbed that girl with a paintbrush. They had an altercation before the guy started working there. And she tried to strangle the therapist guy there. So I'm like, she has quite the MO of losing her shit. But I don't know. I never really knew, but the tying up thing, I was like, oh, she couldn't have. But I don't know. It was weird. It's a weird ending. And then I still am kind of like confused. Was Yuri actually selling drugs to patients?
think so.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
See, there
That
aren't
makes
any good characters. There's no one you like. Does anyone like any character?
Yeah, I now that you say that, I think about it, and it's like the Christian guy was shady because he treated her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Gabriel kind of sucked too. I mean, her aunt was terrible, and Paul was kind of weird.
I didn't hate Paul. He wasn't that bad, really.
No, Paul was probably the
crazy.
best out of all of them, but
Wait, was Paul her cousin or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, they were all kind of shitty. Now that you say that, I didn't
And
really
like
catch that.
her husband's brother, he was crazy. Like he like
Max?
steal her from his brother. That was really weird.
Mhm.
And then he married that girl and acted like, oh yeah, it was just a fling, and I was like, what?
And then she like dies and he like freaks out and loses his shit.
Yeah, looking back in the book, there are tons of red flags that, well, A, a lot of people were shitty, but B, I think the thing that should have stuck out to me more in the beginning was that he switched jobs to treat this patient, which after watching a ton of true crime documentaries, you know that the suspect, or not the suspect, the person who actually did it, what are they called?
The killer.
Yeah, so like the killer or whatnot always inserts themselves into the crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for him, it was a little bit of an addiction to where he was like drawn to Alicia and couldn't get away until he was like treating her or continuing to be close to her. That's weird. You shouldn't switch your job to treat one patient as a clinician.
But he wouldn't have done it. He would have gotten away with it too.
Yeah, I did like how everything wrapped up. I thought he was going to get away with it at first, but I'm glad that it actually all was resolved, and it's not like a huge cliffhanger of like, oh, maybe there will be another book, or maybe you should interpret the ending yourself. I liked how it was closed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he wouldn't have treated her, he wouldn't have like attempted to kill her, and no one would have found out that the intruder was a real person.
Yeah, she would have just been seen as crazy.
I feel bad for her. A lot of people like went out of their way, and like everyone tried to gaslight and like make her look crazy, and they did a great job of it. But it's like everybody around her whole life was like trying to make her sound like this crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah. But overall, I thought it was really good, twisted book.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Cool. Well, that is The Silent Patient. Go read it. We all rated it B+ or higher.